And now, if I could call Precision Nano to the stage.
Everybody, my name is Mike, and this is Elaine, and we are co-founders of Precision Nano, and our goal is to deliver better therapy for cancer patients. So, in 2016, 1.7 million new cases of cancer were diagnosed in the U.S. Of these patients, 75% have or will receive chemotherapy at some point. Unfortunately, many of these patients will have to stop therapy due to the drastic side effects of chemotherapy. Our goal is to reduce this number by making chemotherapy safer and more effective for patients. Traditional chemotherapy is the most commonly prescribed treatment for cancer, due in large part due to its effectiveness and low cost relative to other treatments. Unfortunately, it's limited by these side effects, but on the other hand, targeted therapy and immunotherapy are effective but are limited by high costs and cancer resistance that occurs. Our goal is to deliver chemotherapy in a very targeted fashion that will reduce the systemic side effects, making it safer and more higher efficacy while reducing costs relative to other therapies. So the way we plan to do this is with our patented liposomal technology that packages a chemotherapeutic and rendering it non-toxic to normal cells. But what separates our liposome from other technologies is that it is activated by near-infrared light, releasing the payload. This allows us to activate the liposomes in a targeted fashion at the site of the tumor, releasing the drug and reducing side effects while increasing the dosing at the site of the tumor. We have some preclinical data showing that our technology works. These mice were injected with a triple-negative breast cancer cell line on both flanks, and after tumors formed, they were administered with the liposomes and 4 hours later treated on one side with a 5-minute laser treatment. 15 days later, you can see the drastic difference in tumor volume. So this shows not only that the technology works, but that it works in a localized fashion when you hit it with the laser. Each year, pharmaceutical companies spend $100 billion developing cancer drugs. But this includes 10,000 initial compounds that are tested, but ultimately ends with one drug that is approved by the FDA. This means that this one drug has to pay for the 9,999 other initial compounds that were tested. And this paradigm is the reason why cancer drugs are so expensive. We plan to use our platform technology to reduce these costs by giving an incentive to pharmaceutical companies to package their compounds within a liposome and get more of these compounds into the market. We also can use this liposome to extend patent life on already approved drugs, as well as monetize generics inside of our liposome. Ultimately, this will reduce costs for the pharmaceutical companies, as well as healthcare providers. So our go-to-market plan is to take our liposomes, loaded and unloaded, through validation studies, including general toxicity, PK and PD studies, validating the infrared laser depth, as well as ADME studies, which will bring us into phase 1 clinical trial to prove safety in humans. Once we prove safety, our plan is to license our platform technology to pharma and biotech companies looking to improve the safety of their drugs. Our business plan consists of 3 different revenue streams. The first is a service fee for all preclinical and clinical costs to develop our client's drug inside of our liposome. The second would be a licensing fee once we can demonstrate that we can package their drug, as well as clinical milestone payments as their drug moves through clinical trial in our liposome. Lastly, we will collect a 5% royalty on revenue from any approved drug. Our goal is to get as many drugs as possible into the market, as we see this 5% royalty being our main source of revenue. Our core team is a diverse group with expertise in areas from nanoparticle generation to regulatory affairs. We also have a group of advisors with expertise and who are thought leaders in bringing innovations to the market. We have decades of experience in biotechnology and relevant areas and have formed 3 different startup companies in the past, one of which was an IPO, and have raised $16 million in dilutive and non-dilutive funding in prior ventures. We were recently winners of the Nano Startup Challenge in Cancer, receiving an Innovation Spotlight Award. And as part of that, we are now partners with US Pharmacia, who own 2.5% equity in our company and a seat on the board of directors. We're also part of the Emerging Companies and Venture Capital Program at Fox Rothschild. So our goal is to make chemotherapy safer for patients and increase the efficacy and safety and reduce costs for healthcare providers and the patient. So we are Precision Nano, and we're delivering better therapy.
Michael, have you actually received a exclusive license to the technology from NIH?
So we have not, we are currently negotiating with the NIH to secure the license, and part of that is getting some seed funding going to secure the license. So part of what the $10,000 today could do for us is show them that we're capable of raising some money and secure that license.
Two other quick questions. Could there be others trying to secure an exclusive license from NIH for the technology? And the second thing is, what do you expect to pay for the license?
So, to answer the first question, there were other winners for this invention. However, their indications and what they will get the licensing for is specific. They declare, I think, triple-negative breast cancer was one of them, and then another rare cancer was the other. So our indication is for as a platform technology, which gives us a broader range in terms of usage in different cancer types. The second question was how much. So we're still negotiating that, but part of the agreement was through partnering with this US Pharmacia. So the cost would be have to be negotiated with them at that time.
I had a question about the business model, or how it changes the workflow in cancer treatment. Are cancer centers that now have infusion centers, are they going to also have to add an imaging component so that or a new equipment so the patient's going to have to move from infusion to, how does that work?
Sure. So the way that wow, that was loud. The way that we're envisioning this rolling out would not include having too much more equipment to buy. Basically, it would be just the infrared light, which you'd have trained professionals being able to operate, and it would not necessarily be this large, expensive item. It's something that can be small, and perhaps even depending on our near-infrared studies, if the depth of penetration is not what we would like, we could investigate laparoscopic light administration.
Are there any data around the fact of how this localizes specifically to the tumor?
Sure. So it doesn't specifically localize to the tumor. It's actually delivered systemically, and there are other liposomes that currently exist that are like that. The difference between ours is that we can activate it in a very targeted, localized space. And now there are other liposomes that do this, but one uses UV, which is a very limited depth of penetration. Another one uses pH, which is, there's different pHs in the body, and you can have rampant release of the liposomes. So that's what really makes ours stand out, is the fact that we have the potential for very deep tissue penetration and to treat cancers that are either have no current good treatments or they're hard to reach surgically.
What's our realistic timeline on getting this thing into a drug that's approved?
So realistically, we're looking at 3 to 5 years of validation studies, followed by, or that also includes a phase 1 clinical trial. So realistically, around 5 years for our first license with a pharma or biotech company.
And total capital required to kind of get you through to market would be?
Through phase 1 clinical trial into our first license would be about $7 million. And that cost is relatively low since we're not going through the phase 2 and phase 3 trials ourselves. We're licensing the product to have those companies then go through with their drug package.
Sorry, I just wanted to make the point that there is that huge incentive for pharmaceutical companies to use something that will increase the efficacy or decrease the side effects of the 9,999 products that they've already spent a lot of money on, and so they would get a return on their investment.
You'd mentioned that you were going to somehow extend the patent term for these companies on their pharmaceuticals. Can you explain that a little bit, and why you believe that's going to occur?
So the idea would be that you could file a patent of the drug located inside the liposome and extend the patent life by creating a separate patent with the drug.
The same way that companies do extended release capsules to extend the patent life, this would be sort of a different delivery system that would allow you to recoup some of the money that you've invested in the drug.
I was struck by the number of very, very impressive people listed as mentors of the company. I think there must have been at least a dozen with deep experience in the space. How did you go about recruiting such rock stars?
I did. No, I just, Jefferson is a really great space, and it really highlights how innovation is being fostered here. And so through the different people that I've met, and as part of BizBio, which is a Jefferson Business and Biotechnology group, I've just met a ton of people here that have been instrumental in helping us get this far.